Do not go over a single man's home by yourself, especially if you meet him online. All right, I want you to take your time and think about that. That's not a good idea at all. You're too young to know why you're doing it, but more importantly, you should not be doing it. Bring a friend, tell a parent. Oh, shocking. Tell your parents. Yes, because some of you guys won't be found. Okay, I love those movies, Taken, and I forget the other ones, some of the other ones that they are taking kids and selling them, sex trafficking. Those movies when the dads are searching the earth. But that's not a reality, that's a movie. Welcome to The Counselor, and I am your host, Sheldon Stovall. Well, today we are going to be talking about something that's affecting so many people in this country, and it's OCD, okay? And before we do that, we want to thank all of the people that are subscribing to our channel. We appreciate all the emails we're getting. So far, since we began in January, we've connected more than 50 people to counselors. So those are bigger numbers than we ever even thought about. I was going to be grateful for connecting one or two in a month, right? So we want to encourage you guys that if you are a counselor, you can go to our website and you can take a look at our counseling network. And it's just very easy to be a part of it. And, you know, you'll be part of our friends. You know, we want to continue to open up opportunities for teens, young adults, and people who watch the show. We want to make sure we extend a hand to the community so you guys can be a part of this great helping program. All right. So what does OCD look like in a teenager, right? So there's some signs, parents, that you can start taking a look at. And again, the reason why we're doing this show is because we want to start saving lives, right? We want some of these young people to start living past 18 and 19, right? So we want to start catching some of these signs early, right? Signs of depression, signs of mental health issues early, so that when they are presented, right, we'll say presented with a substance, that they will turn around and say, no, thank you. I'm working with my anxiety through my doctor. Right? Thanks to my therapist, right? So we want to make sure that we start looking at signs. So signs of OCD in teens may include frequent irrational worries. Right? So when they're constantly worried about something for no reason. Oh my God, do you think they saw me through the tinted window? Oh my God, I think they did, right? Oh my God, are they looking at me, right? You start seeing these little signs where they're having these irrational worries for no reason. You know, they're at the beach, there are a million people on the beach and everyone is looking at them, right? So irrational, frequently and irrational worries. Or fears, constantly worrying like the front door isn't locked, or even it's been checked, or even after it's been checked, right? So did you guys lock the front door? Yes, we did. Did you lock the front door? You sure? Yes, we did, right? And then they're projecting, you know, those worries and fears on you, right? And we're going to talk more about that coming up. But yeah, so these are some of the things we need to start paying attention to, parents, right? We don't want to be too nice and kind of close an eye to what could be going on to our children, right? So we want to continuously start looking for signs. Complaints of having frequent and disturbing thoughts, right? So just anything, you know, just worrying, just something like very disturbing that would come to their mind as disturbing, right? Something as simple, I'll say, is leaving the lid open of the mustard in the refrigerator, right? So when you guys are on your way to your family trip and you're on your way to grandma's house, right? And all of a sudden, oh my God, did you guys cover up the mustard? Oh my goodness, if we didn't cover up the mustard, this is going to happen, and then they go into this whole understanding about covering up the mustard, right? So things like that. When someone is going into this obsessive idea that something needs to be done that they cannot control, right? So OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. I'm going to be talking about this with teens. So how do I talk to my teen about OCD, right? So we talked to the staff about that. We kind of came up with a few things that you can do. One, parents, do your homework, right? Learn as much as you can about OCD. All right, so you can Google it, like many of us, or you can watch videos on YouTube, right? There's plenty of them out there. You can also go to the library. You can do some research on your own. You can ask your doctor or your therapist just to kind of give you some reading materials that will be simplified so you can understand it, right? So learning about the issue is one thing that's going to help you. All right, be open and let your team know, right, you want to talk. So be open, okay, with your kids. Let them know that they can come to you and tell you anything, right? They can come to you and say, Mom, I'm going to be honest with you. I keep thinking that the door is unlocked in the living room, right? And we're not going to laugh at them parents, right? We're not going to laugh at, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And embarrass the child for being bold enough to step up and say that there might be something wrong with their mental health, right? We always are making this a stigma. So we need to recognize the impact of the stigmas even for your children, right? So you know how school kids are sometimes, right? Oh, you have OCD. Don't even know what it is. They just want to repeat it, right? So sometimes stigmas come with this as well. So don't be afraid to confront these things and talk to your kids about it, right? And more importantly, if it is something, then start seeking out for the help that they will need. All right, so don't change routines or expectations around the house. So don't start feeling sorry for them like they've just been diagnosed with an illness that they'll never be cured from, right? So don't change things that are going around the house. Like keep things the same, right? If the magazines are messed up and they go fix them, tell them to put those magazines back the way I put them. All right, so don't change up yourself to start catering to that mental health issue, right? You want to continuously prepare yourself to impose the consequences that they need so you can rear them up, especially as teens to becoming adults. And it's important because we're going to go over this in the next segment or two about adults, right? And how once this carries over into adulthood, it's more and more dangerous, right? It gets worse over time. So parents, you do have a responsibility as someone who's raising up someone who could be diagnosed or is diagnosed with OCD, that you still keep the rules, enforce rules, right? So they can respect where they're at instead of making that into their obsessive compulsive location, okay? And continue to make school a priority. This is not a sickness that they can call out of school and get a doctor's note for. All right, parents. I mean, sometimes it gets ridiculous that they're getting doctor's notes for this and that, right? This is not something they need a doctor's note for. They can go to school, all right? If they have to wear gloves, which we'll talk about, let them wear the gloves. Okay, so can a teenager grow out of this obsessive compulsive disorder? All right. OCD tends not to go away on its own. All right. And without treatment, it is likely to persist into adulthood. And in fact, many adults who receive a diagnosis of OCD report that some symptoms started during their childhood, right? So if this thing isn't noticed parents, by you all. And if your child isn't understanding what OCD is or what the symptoms are, what you want to do is you want to have a conversation with them if you start noticing any of these symptoms, right? Because it's very important that we start working with this early, because it worsens, right, over time. So can puberty make OCD worse? Overall, well, OCD can get worse during puberty due to the social and physical changes that teens experience. There is effective treatments to reduce and manage symptoms. So, yes, there are symptoms. Once we catch them or we realize that that's what's going on and you receive a diagnosis from your therapist, all right, the next thing is treatment, kids. So it is treatable. It's not, if you allow it to be untreated, it only gets worse over time, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the types of OCD. So things like checking, right? We'll go into detail for that. Mental contamination, right? Just contamination in general. Symmetry and ordering. Sounds frightening, right? Ruminations, intrusive thoughts, and hoarding. All right, so general warning signs of OCD, parents and kids, don't get nervous. Excessively seeking reassurance, right? So when, again, is the door locked? I'm sure it's locked, Jenny. Oh, is the door? I'm sure it's locked, Jenny, right? And you have to say that over and over again. Some parents are like, why are you worried about the door being locked, right? Other parents will say, well, what's the matter? Why are you concerned, right? So you want to ask the right questions. What's going on? Why are you worrying about the door happening? Did something happen that we don't know about, right? Maybe it could be some trauma that they're afraid to mention, right? Somebody came to the door one day, it was open, or in the bathroom. Who knows, right? Where this suspended from, and which we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. All right, so excessively seeking reassurance. So this could start making you start thinking, wonder, like, what's happened? Has something happened, right? Resisting change, right? Not wanting to do something different. Not wanting to get on the adult rides now at Six Flags, right? Or not wanting to wear certain outfits or sneakers with jeans or skirts or something, right? So resisting change, not wanting to build their self and become different. So there's something that you need to think about, right? They may not just be hard-headed parents, right? Because once again, these are the excuses that we've deposited in our heads as parents, right? That, they just must be being hard-headed. Oh, you're just like Auntie Sue and Uncle Joe, right? So these are things we put in our heads, right, that might be happening to our children. But more importantly, it could be a mental health issue, right? Spending too much time completing things, right? Some kids, and again, even being around children, you have to watch them sometimes. Some kids can't figure out how to wash the dishes or clean up their room, right? It's too many clothes around. They can't put it together, right? So when they're having issues figuring things out, that could be a sign. And again, let's stop calling them stupid, right? And that you don't know anything, because it could be a mental health issue, parents. Getting dressed or eating a meal longer than expected for the children's age. All right. Eating each pea one at a time. Counting each pea one at a time. Right. Eating one noodle at a time. Right. One string of spaghetti. So these are clear signs, right? Redoing tasks. All right. They've already cleaned the bathroom sink and the bathroom mirror 7 times. They've had you check it, the breath test and all that stuff. You passed it, right? And again, they're going to clean it again because they thought they saw a speck. So continuously redoing things, right? Putting blocks up or doing something with blocks and having to retake the blocks down and put them back up. And this is what you'll notice when they're younger too, right? Redoing tasks because it just doesn't seem right to them. Right? Refusing to touch objects with their bare hands. Now, due to this COVID scare and a coronavirus, yes, many of us might be diagnosed with OCD right now, right? Because a lot of us are afraid to touch anything with our bare hands, let alone people, right? So, we have all been excessively washing our hands, right? So, but if you're seeing someone cleansing all the time, right? So people that are cleaning or people who have a cleaning or contamination OCD tend to focus on fear or intense feelings of discomfort that result from contamination or uncleanliness, right? So I remember I had roommates in college, right? One that had OCD. They were the best people to have in the room, right? All the dishes were done. As soon as I put my cup down, it didn't even hit the table. Swipe out of my hand, right into the sink, washed, dried, and put into the cabinet. I mean, perfect. Right? So sometimes people, if they start feeling uncomfortable, they'll watch you when you're eating. If you drop a speck out your mouth, they're running over there, scraping the rug real quick, you know what I mean? So yes, some people have extreme discomfort that result from contamination or feeling like they're not clean, right? Excessive washing. A good example, right, of contamination, OCD, is touching a light switch and convincing yourself that it was dirty and that now you're contaminated, right? So you may fear that you'll contaminate others and feel an intense urge to wash your hands repeatedly to try and cleanse yourself, okay? So once again, that was something that this is new for a lot of us. So parents, just watch the action. If it was happening pre-COVID, maybe we should worry about it. If it's post-COVID, we're still kind of getting through that ourselves, right? So you want to make sure you look at those signs, right? When someone feels like they're not clean, so they go into the bathroom, they use the bathroom, they wash their hands, right? And then they go and touch the door, right? So now, oh my goodness, so they have to go back, touch the knob and get the faucet again, wash their hands, right? And then, I seen someone do that one time. You know what I said? Use a paper towel after you wash your hand and then just open the door with it and throw it in the trash on your way out. Bing, genius, right? So sometimes some people, they just got to figure out how to feel better, right? To not have those germs on their hands, right? Order symmetry or accounting compulsions, OCD, right? Order and symmetry and counting compulsions create a very intense urge to arrange and rearrange things, and they are just right at least exactly how they think they should be. In some cases, this could look like they need to constantly rearrange, like either a sock drawer or something needs to be arranged by color or by tile, right? This subtype might also make you count or say paraphrases or phrases or words over and over again until you feel something is done perfectly, right? So I don't want to go too much over that because there's quite a bit of us out there that we do put our cans, by order. The refrigerator, everything is in order. You ever open up someone's medicine cabinet, everything's in alphabetical order. So people do like to have things in order. Is that OCD or just wanting to be organized? We'll let you guys comment below and kind of let us know what you think, right? There's so many arguments about OCD. I can't get into everything, but yes, some of us like to have things right and in order, right? So sometimes there's a need to order or count or repeat can be an attempt to stave off danger or bad luck. So have you ever been around someone who had to walk in the door, then they'll walk back out, then they'll walk back in, they'll walk back out, then they'll walk back in, right? And no one ever looks at them funny, right? Everybody just kind of stands there. But that person may be trying to, keep bad luck away, and that's what they know to do, right? I don't knock anybody's thing to how to keep bad luck away, right? Some people wear the same underwear every day when they're gambling because they're good luck. Who knows, right? So, I don't knock that, but yes, that is a clear sign, right? That's a symptom. You may feel like if you get something perfectly arranged, or if you say certain phrases so many times, perhaps someone won't die or they won't leave you, right? So that's another thing, is when you're dealing in situations where, you feel like someone is going to be hurt. Like a good example is, don't step on that crack on the sidewalk. What is the saying? You're going to break your grandmother's back, right? So things like that, when, and I hate to say it like that, but I don't like being around people like that, because I'm not really caring if I step on a crack, but you know what? They do. And then they'll stop you. They'll literally reach their hand out before you step on a crack to save your grandmother's back, right? So some people really believe these extremities. All right, so I want you guys to stay with us. There's more. There's a part 2. So just click on the link below or the next video below to watch a part 2 of any of our videos. If you find that this might be happening to you, or someone that you may be around or know that's possibly showing these symptoms of OCD, you can give us a call. Our number is always scrolling on the bottom of the screen. You can email me at promo@thecounselor.live, or you can slide up in my DMs. All right, and welcome back to The Counselor, and I am your host, Sheldon Stovall. I'm so excited to continuously bring to you good information and education. We enjoy all the subscribers. We ask you and encourage you that if you have not subscribed to The Counselor, which, by the way, we're on every day, Monday through Friday, starting at 10 o'clock. So even though the show goes for about 30 minutes, we do have staff that is here that will answer the phone if you have any questions. I think someone called a little bit later and they got through as well. So give it a shot. You can email or text. The number is always scrolling below. So great response, guys. So keep up the good work, and I encourage you to click under below and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you've already dealt with OCD or any of the symptoms that we talk about and you found some help, always, it's very important that you share. Sharing is what keeps each other alive, right? So we're going to continue with our symptoms, OCD, and we ended last video on counting, right? So people have a issue with counting everything. The next one is harm OCD. And this involves extreme feelings of worry that your home or yourself or others, right? So people that are worried about if someone's home all the time, or afraid that something might happen to their cousin or their aunt in their home while they're home, right? So they're always constantly worried that harm is coming, right? And that's something that, yes, we need you guys. If you're feeling that way, contact a professional or tell your parents, right? Because this can lead to other situations, right? So again, I always mention I'm a former detox counselor, right? And I worked in situations where, yes, some people, when they did use drugs, their harm OCD increased, right? All of a sudden they felt a feeling of danger, right? Could have been your dad or your mom, right? Or someone in the room and you're behind the door with a bat, right? Because you've used a mind-altering substance, right? And now your increased extreme feelings of worry, right, are now putting everybody in your home in danger. And this is a true story. So, guys, we want you to start talking to your parents as well. Because sometimes when you guys don't know how to deal with this type of anxiety and these extreme feelings at your age, right, what do you guys sometimes want to do? Self-medicate. And what we want to do is we want to discontinue this behavior because we want you guys to live, right? So in order to relieve this distress you feel, you might use what's known as checking rituals, right? So an example of harm OCD, as you may believe that you accidentally hit someone with your car, right? So you can feel so strongly about this that you'll be compelled to drive back to the place where you thought, listen to the words, thought the accident occurred to prove yourself nothing happens. Right? So you'll likely do this repeatedly and attempt to be absolutely sure, right? So good example, have you ever been in a car with somebody who thought they hit an animal? Oh my goodness, I heard a little lump or something in the road. Oh my God, you hit something. You killed something. Yes, you did. I knew you did. And it's like 10 minutes down the road to the point where you have to literally turn around, right, on a mountain edge street, right, where you could go off the mountain, but you need to do it to prove to this person, right, that you did not go over an animal. And sometimes these people don't even apologize because they're not recognizing their behavior. And that's what I'm saying to parents. Parents, you guys need to start catching this early. Stop giving into it. Talk to them about it. Be upfront about it because this thing gets worse over time, right? And one thing about an addiction or someone who does something excessively or obsessively, they continue doing it and then they bring other people in it. Right. And we'll talk about that more when we continue our series on relationships. Right. So when you're bringing your baggage into a relationship with someone, right, and you're checking the door every 5 minutes, right, and you've been doing it since you were a kid and your parents are just ignoring it, thinking that you're going to just grow out of it. Right. And I'm not saying you guys should get mad at them, but I want you guys to start thinking about these things. Right? It's important to start thinking about what's happening to you, even as a young adult. And I often say this, I knew what I was doing at 13, right? I knew what I was doing at 11, right? I knew I was doing at 10. So you know what's going on with you. So start opening up and speaking to your parents. All right, another thing, hoarding, obsessive compulsive disorder. Oh my goodness. I love that show, by the way. Hoarding, Buried Alive, all of them. Oh, they're just amazing. I applaud all of those counselors. Those are therapists. I mean, we're everywhere, right, guys? We're hitting these streets hard, right? So hoarding is now actually recognized as its own diagnosis according to the dsm-v. So when someone hoards, they collect items that typically don't have much value, right? For instance, this article is dating itself, but magazines, those are things that, used to come in, kind of paper form, like a magazine, like a book. You guys, I know some of you guys don't even know about it, right? Notes, right? Just little sticky notes. You ever see anybody got 1,001 sticky notes everywhere? Come on, you're a hoarder. If you wrote the sticky note and you've used it already, throw it away, right? Notes, clothing, oh my goodness. Some people have clothes, and you guys know this, sometimes clothes go out of style. They have so many clothes that are so old, they come back with them. Like the 8-ball jacket, do you guys remember that? I mean, I seen people coming back with the first one. Like when the 8-ball jackets came out, yeah, people were coming back with the first one, like the original one, right? They cost $800, I think it was, right? So clothing, throw some of these things away, right? You're hoarding, right? I'm sure some of these partners right now are appreciating this show. Throw this stuff away. Stop forcing people to have to live in a pile of hoarding and mess, right? It's not fair. Throw all that stuff in the garage. The garage is not to hoard trash. My goodness, it's for the cars to park in or the kids to play in the winter or something else besides Christmas boxes and all this stuff. Come on. All right. Games. Some people have the original Atari and all the chips or the cartridges. Some people have the old Nintendo and still playing Super Mario, right? Hoarding. It's dusty. Remember the old Nintendo was always dusty. You ever seen someone's, I got my Nintendo. You know, the dust is like this thick. The remote control, you want to touch it, but you got your hand like barely touching it, right? OCD. Right? So games, right? People still have VCRs, right? And they still have VHSs. Come on, throw them away. All right. Containers, right, that may keep some of their items. Like they have all these items in containers now because they're OCD. They don't want to get damaged. You ever been to somebody's house and they have 90 cubbies just for everything in the kitchen and then 400 cubbies for like the living room, like each book, right? So that's a form, yeah. Obsessive compulsive disorder, right? So their home becomes virtually unlivable as it's filled with clutter, right? So people think about it. You know, I actually, growing up, I went to a few hoarders' houses. I didn't know that they were hoarders, but when we went in, there was like a path through the house that you walk through, right? And then you're looking at all the piles like higher than you. I was a kid at that time. And I'm like trying not to touch anything either. Don't worry. I'm not going to knock that pile down, right? So when you're seeing all that, you don't really realize it, but some people hoard and their house is filled with junk. Obsessive compulsive disorder. An obsession surrounding the fear of not having something you may need, right? One day. Okay, so some people stock up on water, right? Water in their garages. Rice. Let's not even talk about rice. Rice, huge bags of rice, right? So some people think, we may run out of water one day. So they have literally like storage units filled with water bottles. True story. Right? We've even seen that on some of those episodes. This thing gets deep, right? This OCD subtype has a higher rate of coexisting issues of depression and anxiety than others. So this situation may even be worse, right? So there are also obsessive compulsive related disorders that can occur, all right? Hair pulling disorder. Okay, your pulling disorder cause is a strong urge to pull hair from your head, right? We see those TikTok videos where these people sometimes are getting the wax and they're putting it on every piece and part of their face that they have hair and they're pulling it, they're ripping it out, right? A pulling disorder. And again, we watch these videos and sometimes we get obsessed when we're watching these things, but these are people with real disorders. Okay? Hair pulling disorders. Do you ever see some of these people when they do the whole waxing video with the wax? Some people don't even make a sound. It's almost like they enjoyed getting the chest hair ripped off their body, right? Or their eyelash pulled out, or their eyebrows tweaked out, or anywhere else on your body, right? So habit reversal, that's another thing. Training or our often successful treatment techniques. So there's ways that you can start getting this thing worked out, like reversing these habits, right? Skin picking disorder. Excoriation disorder causes persistent picking of the skin. I'm not even going to go there, but I've seen that happen on various occasions, even in professional meetings, where someone has tweezers and they're literally like picking under their nails, right? So some people, they just have this, they need to have that prickling feeling, right? So that can be something that definitely is something you need to call a professional about. But these things can lead to infections, right? So some people, yes, when you're picking your face a lot, you're leaving your face open to infection, bacteria, right? So my advice is take some antibacterial soap and just put it all over it and leave it there for a few minutes. Sleep with it overnight if possible, right? Just so you won't have those infections start going to your skin, which is what causes a lot of the acne, right? Those are pus. It's a pus or an infection that's going through your skin. So if you want to get, stop the acne, stop picking the bumps and put something over it, right? So that'll stop the infections and lesions, right? And take out the distress that you'll have because now you have acne, right? Or now you have holes in your face from picking your face. All right, body dysmorphic disorder. Now, this involves a preoccupation with what you may perceive as a flaw in your own or in your own family or even on you. So most often the imperfections you see either are that it was horrible to you or that they were very slightly observed by others, right? So whatever you might have on your body or face that you feel like is ugly and that people are staring at it, right? And I mean staring at it. And you know what? Sometimes people are staring at it. Let's just be honest. Sometimes if you have a pimple right there, they are looking at it, right? I've had people tell me, you have a pimple right there, right? Yes, it is. Thank you. So body dysmorphia disorder causes repetitive behaviors to check your appearance or groom yourself, right? So you see some people always putting on lipstick, right, on their face. You ever see that, right? That's an issue. That could be an OCD. Now, everyone knows that if you put on red lipstick and you kiss someone, it's going to come off on their shirt. So why kiss them, right? So some people, even though they enjoy wearing red lipstick, they have this OCD where they're getting their lipstick on you, so they're always wiping your face. Oh my God. When someone I'm just like, thank you, just shake my hand, thanks. I don't need you fixing my lipstick. Okay. It typically involves comparing yourself to others. So the whole thing is what we want to do, kids, is we want to discontinue comparing yourself to other people. Because when you're comparing yourself to everyone else, right, you don't start looking right yourself. All right. Some people look the way they do because that's their family. That's what their family looks like. Right. And some people that you might say is unattractive is probably the best looking person in their family. So we want to start changing these behaviors. Right. Because what can cause OCD to get worse? Trauma. All right. So trauma is very real. All right. And many people can be traumatized with so many things. A simple thing is picking on someone in school for the color shoes they wore with the dress. It's traumatic. Come on. What if they thought about that for 2 weeks and put that outfit together? All right, kids, we want to start being less mean and more nice to each other, right? So trauma, stress, same thing. Everybody says, when you're kids, you're not stressed out. I don't believe that. I was stressed out as a kid. My homework was hard. I mean, hard. I was in AP classes, right? Those are advanced placements. Some of you don't know that. That stuff was really hard. I mean, I had paragraphs like this for one problem. I'm like a whole page, right? It took me hours just to decipher the problem and solve it, right? So stress is real, right? So kids, start learning how to deal with your stress. And abuse can be a good cause of OCD getting worse. So parents, we know how we counselors feel about abuse, right? You want to start learning verbally, emotionally, and physically, learning other ways to discipline your children, right? Emotional abuse is just as worse as hitting someone with a belt, right? That's even worse than physical abuse because now you're breaking their self-esteem, their value, and their self-worth. All right, so kids, I want you guys to pick up the phone. Parents, families, give us a call if you need us to talk to your children more about opportunities. We do have trained counselors around that will be able to help and guide you. So you can always pick up the phone. You can call us at 413-370-9937. You can email me at promo@thecounselor.live, or you can slide up in my DMs.